Hi guys, good morning. This is Dan. Welcome to Engelgeist. For those of you that are new, welcome. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. And for those of you that support me over on Patreon, thank you so very much for your support. Your subscriptions help keep the channel going and equitable, and I really appreciate it. So thank you very much. Anybody that's interested in supporting the channel in that way, you can go to patreon.com and choose a monthly subscription level. From there, you would receive the daily forecast a day early, and also other readings that are available every month over there, depending on the level that you choose. So this is the daily forecast. For those of you that are new, this is the daily forecast for everyone who watches it. It's intended and created for a specific date, but it's also a message for the greater collective, the highest good. Therefore, I believe the message is timeless. So if you're not watching this on the date it was originally created for, that's fine. There still might be a message that may fit in your life, right? So continue watching even if it's not the original date. But this is for Monday, the 25th of January. We will be building on the weekly that we saw yesterday. So if for some reason this doesn't fit whenever you're watching it, if it doesn't seem to fit into your life, that's okay. It might mean you're working on something different than the majority of people that will watch this video. And so nothing's wrong or broken. It just means, you're working on something different. So that's fine too. If things do fit though, and you decide to utilize it in your life, if you choose to make any decisions in your life after having watched any of my videos, know that those decisions are 100% your responsibility. So always use your own highest intelligence and intuition when making those decisions. Always never take, also never take anything that I say over a professional in their field, like a doctor, a lawyer, or a therapist. Always listen to what they have to say first. That's the most important thing too. Basically, these are to help support you or validate what you may already know. They're not necessarily here to make the decisions for you. So keep that in mind. And basically just sort of take what you need out of the reading and leave the rest. Feel free to leave me a comment or hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed the video. That greatly helps me out. And let's get in and see what the cards want us to know today on this Monday. All right, so we have the Ten of Wands. I believe, did we not have Ace of Wands yesterday for the beginning of the week card? We did. Okay, so tens offer up completions, not only completions for ourselves, but completions for everything that's going on around us. Usually it's like the end of a situation, the end of a chapter, that sort of a thing. Wands would be the element of fire and that of the spirit, right? Or desire, taking action. When I think of the Ten of Wands, to me, it's about letting go of a burden, something that we've carried for a long time, something that we've dealt with for a long time, something that's no longer serving us, maybe, possibly. When I think about this, I feel like this is the release that happens when we say the freedom that comes and the new beginning that comes with that Eight of Wands that underpins this. We saw in yesterday's forecast for the weekly a lot of Ace energy at the beginning and the midpoint of this week. So we want to be open to the new things as they come. When the Ten of Wands comes in, it says to me that we know that we're sort of completed, we're done with whatever this cycle is, whatever we've been sort of maybe struggling against. Actually, to me, usually he's carrying these wands, and this gentleman is carrying them, but it looks like he's pushing against them with his whole body weight as he's carrying them, which is sort of different than what I'm used to seeing. I'm usually used to seeing kind of up on the man's shoulders, or maybe he's dropped them to the ground, but this guy looks like he's pushing against it. And so if we are pushing against something in some way in our life, and for each of you it will be a different thing that we're pushing against, if we're struggling with something, today may be the time to sort of let that go. And the reason why is that when we do let that go, or when we change our perspective with that dance that we're doing with that thing that's maybe either blocking us or not giving us what we want, we end up opening the door for that Ace of Wands to come in. And remember, we saw the clarity of that Ace of Swords too underneath that Ace of Wands yesterday. So there's a clarity that needs to take place, an awareness in our mind that will tell us in the early part of this week is this really right for me? Do I need to be doing this anymore? The one thing I do love about this is we've worked hard at whatever this is. And sometimes the investment and the work that we've put in, or the energy and the intention, the attention that we've put into certain things, it's hard to admit when we don't necessarily feel like they're giving back to us anymore, or maybe we fear that we failed in some way because it didn't actually succeed. But it doesn't necessarily, just because something doesn't come to fruition, it doesn't turn out the way we thought it was supposed to, doesn't necessarily always mean it's a failure or that we are undeserving, right? We've worked hard towards what we want. We want to make sure at this point that where we put our energy and our effort is really in the best places possible, right? Or towards the best opportunities possible, if that makes sense, right? We want to go after the things that are going to serve us and not necessarily hold us back. So I feel like today may be the day to kind of assess certain things, anything that we might be struggling with or that might be harder work for us. We want to look at that for what it is and maybe rearrange our relationship with it, or come into completion with the relationship as it stands right now. We can't sort of continue forward, I feel like, with things the way that they are now. There's no, what's the word? There's no kind of ability to deny it. And like I said, for each one of you, this thing may be different, right? It might be something that you've kind of felt in your gut. I don't know if this is working for me anymore. Because that's kind of the feeling I get. I also feel like his head is down. In other words, when I'm looking at this, I start to feel like this is something that we've known we've maybe needed to change. We haven't gotten about changing it. Now it's becoming sort of maybe more and more obvious, or more of a burden, more and more heavy, that it's time that we sort of assess and at least reestablish our relationship. Let go of some of that burden, so to speak, and let some of that inspiration of the Ace of Swords, the Ace of Wands, that, wisdom of the hermit that we saw come in and kind of educate us in a way and bring about that change that we seek, right? So let's see what the clarifiers are for this morning. We have the Two of Wands. I love this. This is about desire and what it is that we want, how it is that we might want it. I love that he's holding the globe and looking out. We also, I believe, where did we see this? No, this might have been in the tarot scripts yesterday. I'm sorry. We saw the Three of Wands yesterday in one of the signs. But when I look at this, this is about, what we have versus what we want. What we have is the Ten of Wands, right? And it's not that it's something that's bad. It's just something that it's a burden. We're not necessarily needing to carry it as much anymore, or carrying it much further isn't necessarily going to serve us. It feels like we've sort of run the course with it. The Two of Wands offers also the newness that we see in the Ace. It's like new perspectives. He's sitting there looking at the world. He's looking out over the vista. He's planning a next sort of, my feeling is he's sort of planning his next action. He's looking at what it is that he wants. There's another reader that I love that she always says the Two of Wands is placing the order on Amazon. The Three of Wands is expecting it to come in. And that's kind of what he's doing there, is he's sort of looking at, okay, where do I want to be in the world? What do I desire most? How do I want to go about taking action? And getting ready to formulate that new plan, or that new road, that new path that he may want to follow. Some of you might feel like you're at that place, but we have to sort of come to completion with whatever it is that we've been dealing with, or facing, or dancing around with for a while now, and be willing to let that go. All of this Wands energy definitely speaks to the idea of, what is the voice that's inside of us? What's pushing us? Where is that sort of stronger spiritual desire, and where is it sort of leading us? Even if it doesn't fully make sense to us, listening to that voice might be key right now, because we're seeing a lot of Wands energy in these, in yesterday's reading at the beginning of the week, and also here. We have the King of Swords. Okay, so this backs up that Ace of Swords that we saw yesterday. We're talking about clear, honest truth. We're talking about the truth of a situation, the truth for us, making clear, honest, decisive, making clear, honest decisions, around stuff, being willing to cut things away if we need to. And that doesn't necessarily mean that we have to be rude or brutal in what we do. The King of Swords is not that way. He's more analytical than anything. He's smart. He's intelligent about this, right? He's listening to what he wants and what's working and what's not, or what's possible and what we've deemed is no longer possible, right? So we see this guy, and he sort of tells me, again, we need to seek that clarity of mind. Today may be the day where we shift into that, or we take that throne or that seat in the clarity of our own mind and start to formulate new plans around what it is we desire and how it is we're going to go about getting there. But, excuse me, we have to let go of whatever has been holding us back. Okay, hello, Ace of Swords. New beginnings, new thoughts. Be inspired today, guys. We saw that Ace of Swords yesterday as the second clarifier. Or, I'm sorry, the first clarifier. First it was the Ace of Wands and then the Ace of Swords. So this, I really feel like this new beginning is out here for us. Aces always represent our personal selves, in my opinion. There's a celebration that needs to take place here with that victory wreath and that crown. We need to move ourselves to the forefront of our lives. That's also the King of Swords energy too, the forefront of our mind. Placing ourselves first is not necessarily a selfish act. It's about our own happiness provides also the happiness. It makes us more able to provide the happiness for others too. There is that aspect to these cards. So we really need to look at some of the things of where we've been doing things in an effort, maybe for other people more so than for ourselves, to bring about their happiness, thinking that that's going to make us happy. And it hasn't necessarily. Right? And this, behavior could be in, different areas of each person's life. So pay attention to that. Let me see here. With that Ace of Swords, I just really feel like, and the King of Swords, it's telling you guys, or what I feel like the message here today is to get clear on sort of mentally clear, take away sort of the outside voices or the outside opinions, and start to think about what it is that you desire and what sort of changes need to take place, what sort of shifts in focus or shifts in action need to take place so that we can move towards those desires. Let's look to the grounding stone. Okay, so the grounding stone is the word hope. So we want to ground in that hope today. When I think about hope is in that Two of Wands, right? Where he's sitting on that vista looking out as to what he desires. Hope is that, like, with this new clear mind or this new fresh perspective or this new sort of rearrangement of how we look at things, maybe we need to look at things with less sort of emotions or restrictions. There's a freedom with the King of Swords and the Ace of Swords. I will say this, there is a mental duty that we might be fighting with in the King of Swords. He does have a responsibility to his people, being king, but you've got to understand that we know what's best for us and we know what we deserve. We need to believe that and act from that place clearly and decisively, not be muddled or a slave to a situation that's no longer giving us what it is we need. Oh my God, do you hear that? That cat, do you hear that? That's crazy. All right, sorry guys, that just sidetracked me. I was trying to see what that cat is crying about like that. All right, so that is your forecast for the day. Ground in this hope, ground in possibility, and then watch your mind sort of clear and open yourself up to the thoughts of what you need to do to go about creating those avenues towards this thing. I hope that makes sense, guys. Please hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you feel so inclined. Sorry, I got sidetracked by that cat. I look forward to seeing you guys all tomorrow, and have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.